Zara Vex stepped off the transport ship and onto the docking platform of Galactic Academy Station Epsilon 7. The massive space station floated in the darkness between star systems, its lights twinkling like a small city in space. She carried a single bag with all her belongings and looked around nervously at the busy platform. Other students were arriving too, but they all seemed to know where they were going. Humans laughed and talked with other humans. Tall blue Altarians walked together in groups. The insect-like mantoids clicked their mandibles as they spoke to each other. Everyone had their own kind to talk to. Zara did not fit with any group. Her skin was silver blue like her Zephyrian mother, but her face was more rounded like a human. Her ears came to points, and her violet eyes seemed to glow in the station's bright lights. She was taller than most humans, but shorter than most. Zephyrians. She looked alien to the humans and strange to the aliens. "Welcome to Galactic Academy," said a cheerful voice. Commander Patricia Brooks, a middle-aged human woman in a crisp blue uniform, approached with a tablet in her hands. "You must be Zara Vex. I am Commander Brooks, the station administrator." "Yes, ma'am," Zara replied quietly. Her voice carried a slight musical quality that made some species uneasy. "Your sponsor has arranged everything for your arrival," Brooks continued, checking her tablet. "Very generous of them to pay for your full education here. Though I must say, it is unusual for someone to sponsor a student anonymously." Zara nodded, but said nothing. She had wondered about her mysterious sponsor for months. Her mother had simply told her that someone important believed in her future and wanted to help. "Let me show you to your dormitory," Brooks said. "Classes begin tomorrow." As they walked through the station's corridors, Zara noticed other students staring at her. Some pointed and whispered to their friends. A group of human students stopped talking when she passed by. "Look at her skin," one of them whispered. "Is she some kind of alien freak?" "Half-breed," another said with disgust. "They should not allow mixed species here." Zara kept walking, but her cheeks burned with embarrassment. She had heard such words before, but they still hurt every time. Her dormitory room was small but clean. It had a bed, a desk, and a small window that looked out into space. Most students shared rooms, but Zara had been given a single room. She suspected it was because no one wanted to room with her. The next morning, Zara attended her first class, Galactic History. The classroom was filled with students from dozens of different species. She found an empty seat in the back and tried to make herself invisible. Professor Martinez, a human teacher, began discussing the Great War between the Terran Federation and the Zephyrian Empire from 50 years ago. Zara listened carefully, since the war involved both sides of her heritage. The humans were outnumbered 10-1, the professor explained, but they used clever tactics and unexpected strategies to win several key battles. Their adaptability and refusal to give up surprised many alien commanders. A student raised his hand. It was Jake Morrison, a popular human boy with sandy hair and bright blue eyes. "Professor, why did the Zephyrians lose if they had better technology and more ships?" "Excellent question, Jake," the professor replied. "The Zephyrians were used to fighting in traditional ways. They followed old rules of war. Humans did not. They were unpredictable and willing to take risks that seemed crazy to other species." Zara found herself nodding. Her mother had told her similar stories about the war, though from the Zephyrian perspective. Her mother always spoke with respect about human creativity and determination. After class, Zara walked to the cafeteria for lunch. The large room was divided into sections where different species sat together. Humans sat with humans, Altarians with Altarians, and so on. Zara looked around for a place to sit, but found no welcoming faces. She took her tray to an empty table in the corner and ate alone. The food was designed to be safe for all species, but it tasted bland and artificial. She missed her mother's Cooking. Hey, look at the half-breed eating by herself, said a loud voice. Zara looked up to see Jake Morrison standing with a group of human students. I bet she does not even know which species she belongs to. Lisa Chong, a pretty human girl with long black hair, laughed. My father says mixed species are an insult to pure bloodlines. They should not be allowed in proper schools. Maybe she should sit with the maintenance robots, Jake added. They are mixed up too, part machine and part computer. The group laughed and walked away. Zara stared down at her food, no longer hungry. She finished eating quickly and left the cafeteria. Her next class was physical education with Captain Rex Hamilton, a tough human military instructor. The students were divided into teams for combat training exercises. As team leaders picked their members, Zara stood to the side and waited. I will take Johnson, said one team leader. I choose Martinez, said another. One by one, students were selected until only Zara remained. The final team leader, a mantoid named Click Thress, looked at her with obvious reluctance. I suppose I must take the mixed one, Click Thress said with a sound like grinding metal. During the exercise, Zara surprised everyone. Her hybrid physiology gave her advantages that neither fully human nor fully Zephyrian students possessed. She moved faster than the humans expected and thought more quickly than the Zephyrians anticipated. Her team won 3 out of 4 practice matches. Captain Hamilton watched her carefully. Interesting technique, Vex, he said after class. Where did you learn to fight like that? My mother taught me some Zephyrian martial arts, Zara replied. And I studied human combat videos. Why human videos? Hamilton asked. Zara hesitated. I wanted to understand both sides of my heritage, sir. Hamilton nodded thoughtfully, but said nothing more. That evening, Zara sat in her room doing homework. Her advanced mathematics assignment was more difficult than what she had studied on her home planet, but she worked through each problem carefully. Mathematics was the same across all species, which she found comforting. Her personal communicator chimed softly. She had received a message from an unknown sender. The message was short and encrypted, but her communicator automatically decoded. It, stay strong, little star. Your father is proud. Zara stared at the message in confusion. Her father was dead. Her mother had told her that he died in a transport accident when she was very young. Who could be sending her messages claiming to be her father? She tried to reply to the message, but her communicator said the sender's address was blocked. She saved the message and decided to ask her mother about it during their next scheduled communication. Over the following weeks, Zara's routine became predictable. She attended classes, ate meals alone, and spent evenings studying in her room. Some teachers praised her intelligence and hard work, but the students continued to avoid her in xenobiology class. She scored the highest marks on every test. Professor Wilson, an elderly human scientist, often asked her to help explain complex concepts to other students. Zara has a unique perspective on interspecies biology, he told the class one day. Her mixed heritage gives her insights that pure-blooded students might miss. This praise only made the other students resent her more. Jake Morrison and his friends began calling her teacher's pet and show off. She thinks she is better than everyone else, Lisa Chong complained to her friends. Just because she gets good grades does not mean she belongs here. Zara tried to ignore the cruel comments, but they hurt deeply. She had hoped that at Galactic Academy, a place dedicated to bringing different species together, she might finally find acceptance. Instead, she found herself more isolated than ever. Late at night, she would look out her window at the stars and wonder if she would ever find a place where she truly belonged. She was too alien for the humans and too human for the aliens. She existed in a space between worlds, belonging fully to neither. Her only comfort came from her studies and the mysterious messages that arrived every few weeks. Each one was short and encouraging, signed only as your father. Zara began to look forward to these messages, even though she did not understand who was sending them or why. As her first month at the academy ended, Zara had established herself as one of the top students academically, but she remained completely alone socially. She had no friends, no allies, and no one who seemed to care about her as a person, rather than as a curiosity or target for mockery. She did not know that her situation was about to change dramatically, or that her mysterious father was closer than she could possibly imagine. The announcement came during breakfast on a cold Tuesday morning. Commander Brooks stood at the front of the cafeteria, her voice carrying across the large room filled with chattering students. "Attention, everyone," she called out. "In 2 weeks, we will hold our annual interspecies war games. This is the most important academic event of the year. Your performance will count for 30% of your final grades." Excited whispers filled the room. The war games were legendary at Galactic Academy. Former winners often went on to become famous military leaders, diplomats, and explorers across the galaxy. "Teams will consist of 6 members from at least 3 different species," Brooks continued. "You have 3 days to form your teams and register. Good luck to all of you." As soon as Brooks finished speaking, students began rushing around the cafeteria, forming groups, and making plans. Zara watched from her lonely corner table as friends quickly chose each other for teams. Jake Morrison stood on a chair and called out loudly, "Anyone who wants to join the winning team, come talk to me." A crowd of students immediately surrounded him. Lisa Chong gathered her friends at a nearby table. "We need some aliens for our team," she said. "But let's pick the smart ones, not the weird ones." Prince Corvain, a tall Altarian with golden skin and silver hair, commanded attention simply by standing up. His royal status made him instantly popular, and students competed to join his team. Hours passed. By dinner time, most students had found teams. Zara had not been invited to join anyone, and no one had asked to join a team with her. She ate her meal quickly and returned to her room. The next day was worse. Students who had been polite to her before now openly avoided her. They whispered and pointed when she walked by. "She will ruin any team she joins," Zara heard one student say. "No one wants the half-breed," said another. By the final day of team registration, Zara had given up hope. She sat in advanced physics class, taught by Dr. Yuki Tanaka, trying to focus on quantum mechanics instead of her problems. After class, Jake Morrison approached her desk. He looked uncomfortable and kept glancing around to make sure his friends were not watching. "Look," he said quietly, "my team needs 1 more member. We have humans, 1 mantoid, and 1 Sician. We need someone from another species." Zara looked up at him suspiciously. "Why me?" Jake shifted his weight from foot to foot. "You get good grades. And you are technically half Zephyrian, so you count as an alien species." "How generous of you," Zara replied with bitter sarcasm. "Do you want to be on a team or not?" Jake snapped. "This is your only chance." Zara realized he was right. She nodded reluctantly. "Fine, I will join your team." "Good," Jake said. "Training starts tomorrow after classes. Do not mess this up for us." The next afternoon, Zara met her teammates for the first training session. Besides Jake, there was Tony Martinez, a quiet human boy who was good with technology. The mantoid was called Sharp Claw, and he specialized in engineering. The Sician was named Blue Song, a graceful aquatic being who could breathe both air and water. Captain Rex Hamilton supervised their training in the Academy's simulation room. The room could create realistic environments for combat and strategy. Exercises. "Your first scenario," Hamilton announced, "is a basic rescue mission. A transport ship has crashed on a hostile planet. You must reach the survivors, avoid enemy patrols, and escape safely. The simulation began. Zara found herself standing in a dense alien jungle with her teammates. Strange sounds echoed through the trees, and the air smelled of rotting vegetation. Jake immediately took charge. Tony, scan for the crash site. Sharp Claw, check our equipment. Blue Song, watch for enemies. Zara, just try to keep up. They moved through the jungle for 20 minutes, following Tony's scanner readings. But when they reached the crash site, enemy soldiers were already there, guarding the survivors. There are too many of them, Jake whispered. We need a distraction. I could create a small explosion with these power cells, Sharpclaw suggested, clicking his mandibles nervously. That might hurt the survivors, Blue Song pointed out in her musical voice. While they argued, Zara studied the enemy positions carefully. Her hybrid vision allowed her to see details that her teammates missed. She noticed patrol patterns, blind spots, and weaknesses in their formation. Wait, she said quietly. I have an idea. We do not have time for your ideas, Jake replied, dismissively, but Zara was already moving. She used her enhanced agility to climb silently into the trees above the enemy camp. Her Zephyrian heritage made her naturally quiet, while her human side gave her creative thinking. She dropped down behind the enemy commander and used a Zephyrian nerve pinch to knock him unconscious. Then she grabbed his communication device and, mimicking his voice perfectly, ordered the guards to investigate a false alarm on the other side of the clearing dot as the enemies moved away from the survivors. Zara's teammates stared in amazement. How did you do that? Tony asked. Zephyrians can change their vocal patterns, Zara explained, and humans are good at lying. They rescued the survivors and escaped easily. Captain Hamilton watched the replay with interest. Excellent work, team, he said. Especially you, Vex. That was creative thinking under pressure. Jake looked surprised and slightly annoyed that Zara had saved their mission. Word of their success spread quickly through the academy. Other teams began to notice Zara's unusual abilities. During the next training session, they faced a puzzle that had stumped students for years. The challenge was called the Maze of Minds. Teams had to navigate through a complex mental puzzle that tested logic, creativity, and cooperation. Most teams took hours to solve it, and many never finished at all. Zara studied the puzzle for only a few minutes before she began giving instructions to her teammates. Tony, input the sequence 7419, she said. Sharpclaw, rotate the blue crystal exactly 45 degrees. Blue Song, sing the harmony for the Sician lullaby, Deep Current Dreams. How do you know what to do? Jake demanded. The puzzle is not about individual intelligence, Zara explained as she worked. It is about combining different species' strengths. Humans are good at pattern recognition. Mantoids understand mechanical systems, and Sicians have perfect pitch for sound puzzles. Following her instructions, the team solved the puzzle in just 18 minutes, setting a new academy record. Captain Hamilton was impressed. Outstanding, team. You have shown real potential. But their success made other teams jealous and angry. Prince Corvain's elite team, which included the best students from several species, challenged them to a practice match. We will show everyone. Bet the mixed breed girl just got lucky, Prince Corvain announced loudly in the cafeteria. The practice match took place in the academy's main arena. Students gathered to watch what everyone expected to be an easy victory for the prince's team. The scenario was a space battle simulation. Each team controlled a small fleet of ships and had to capture the enemy's base while defending their own. Prince Corvain's team used traditional military tactics. They formed perfect battle lines and attacked in organized waves, just as their species had done for thousands of years. But Zara suggested something different to her team. "What if we do not fight? The way they expect?" she asked Jake. "Humans won the Great War by being unpredictable, right?" Jake hesitated. Following Zara's plan would mean giving up his position as team leader, but he could see that her strategies were working. "Fine," he said. "What do you suggest?" Zara's plan was chaos to anyone watching, but it had a hidden logic. Instead of fighting in formation, her team's ships moved independently, striking at weak points and disappearing before the enemy could respond. They used fake retreats to draw enemy ships into traps. They pretended to be damaged when they were actually fine. They attacked from unexpected directions and coordinated strikes that seemed random but were carefully timed. Prince Corvain's team became confused and frustrated. Their perfect formations fell apart as they tried to respond to attacks that made no sense to them. Within an hour, Zara's team had captured the enemy base and destroyed most of their fleet. The watching students sat in stunned silence. "Impossible," Prince Corvain muttered. "They cheated somehow." But Captain Hamilton shook his head. "No cheating. Just superior strategy and teamwork." After the match, Jake approached Zara privately. "Those tactics," he said quietly. "Where did you learn them?" Zara hesitated. The truth was that the strategies felt familiar, like half-remembered stories from her childhood. But she could not explain why. "I read about human military history," she said finally, "and I combined it with Zephyrian patience and timing." Jake nodded, but she could see he was not entirely convinced. That night, Zara received another mysterious message on her communicator. "The apple does not fall far from the tree. Show them what you are made of." She stared at the message for a long time. The tactics she had used in the simulation were not from any textbook she had read. They came from somewhere deeper, like inherited. Memories or instincts she did not understand. As she prepared for bed, Zara wondered about her mysterious father again. Whoever he was, he seemed to know more about her abilities than she did herself. The war games were only 1 week away, and other teams were starting to take her seriously. Some students who had ignored her before now watched her with respect and curiosity. But Zara sensed that her biggest challenges were still ahead. The war games began on a bright Monday morning. The entire academy buzzed with excitement as students prepared for the most important competition of the year. Banners hung from the station walls, and viewing screens were set up throughout the corridors so everyone could watch the matches. Admiral Susan Carter arrived that morning on a sleek Earth military ship. She was a tall woman with gray hair and sharp eyes, wearing a uniform covered in medals and ribbons. Students whispered about her famous battles and legendary career. "Why is an Earth admiral here?" Tony asked as he watched her walk through the station with Commander Brooks. "The war games are a big deal," Jake replied. "Important people always come to watch." But Zara noticed that Admiral Carter seemed more interested in studying the students than watching the games. The Admiral's eyes lingered on her for a long moment. When she passed by, the first round of competition began in the main arena. 12 teams would compete, but only 6 would advance to the semifinals. Each team faced a different historical battle scenario chosen randomly from the Academy's database. Prince Corvain's team went first. They were assigned the Battle of Rigel Prime, where Altarian forces had defeated a rebellion 300 years ago. The prince led his team through a perfect recreation of the historical victory, following every move exactly as it had happened. Other teams performed well too. Lisa Chang's team won their scenario by using superior technology. Sharp Claw's cousins' team succeeded through careful planning and patience. Finally, it was Zara's team's turn. Captain Hamilton called them to the arena floor, while hundreds of students watched from the viewing galleries above. "Your scenario," Hamilton announced. is the Battle of Kepler 442. Zara felt her blood turn cold. She knew that battle. It was one of the most famous human victories during the Great War, when a small Earth fleet had defeated a much larger Zephyrian armada through impossible tactics and desperate courage. "This should be interesting," Admiral Carter said quietly. To Commander Brooks, "Let's see how the girl handles this one." Jake looked nervous. "I have never heard of this battle." "Have you, Zara?" Zara nodded slowly. "It was during the Great War. The humans were outnumbered 50-1, but they still won." "How is that possible?" Blue Song asked in her musical voice. Zara closed her eyes and tried to remember. The story came to her like a half-forgotten dream. She could almost hear a deep voice telling her about brave human pilots and their clever commander who refused to surrender even when defeat seemed certain. "The human commander used the asteroid field," she said suddenly. "He hid his ships inside the rocks and attacked from multiple directions. The Zephyrians could not use their superior numbers because they could not maneuver in the tight spaces." Her teammates stared at her. "How do you know that?" Tony demanded. I read about it somewhere," Zara said uncertainly. But that was not true. The knowledge felt deeper than anything she had learned from books. The simulation began. Zara found herself commanding a small human fleet facing an enormous Zephyrian armada. Her teammates controlled different ship squadrons, waiting for her orders. Without hesitation, Zara began giving commands that surprised everyone watching. "Tony, take your squadron into the asteroid field at coordinates 749. Sharp Claw, use your engineering skills to overload the power cores on ships 3, 7, and 12. Blue Song, coordinate our communication frequencies to confuse their sensors. Jake, prepare for a full frontal assault on their command ship." "That sounds like suicide," Jake protested. "Trust me," Zara said with certainty she did not understand. Her tactics were exactly like those used in the real battle 4 decades ago. She divided her small fleet into tiny groups that hid among the asteroids. When the Zephyrian ships entered the field to hunt them down, they found themselves trapped in narrow passages where their numbers meant nothing. Zara's team struck from all directions at once. They used the asteroids as shields and weapons, pushing massive rocks into enemy ships. They coordinated attacks that seemed impossible, appearing and disappearing like ghosts. The simulation audience watched in amazement as the small human fleet tore apart the larger Zephyrian armada piece by piece. "Incredible," Admiral Carter whispered. "She is using the exact same tactics as As who?" Commander Brooks asked. The Admiral did not answer, but she pulled out her communicator and began typing a message. Within 2 hours, Zara's team had won a complete victory. The Zephyrian fleet was destroyed, and the human ships had suffered minimal losses. Captain Hamilton looked stunned. "Outstanding work. But I must ask, Miss Vex, where did you learn those specific tactics?" Zara felt confused and frightened. Battle had felt so real, so familiar. It was as if she had been there before, watching from someone else's eyes. "I am not sure," she said honestly. "The strategies just seemed right." After the match, Admiral Carter approached Zara privately. "Miss Vex," the Admiral said, "may I have a word with you?" They walked to a quiet corner of the arena. "Admiral." Carter studied Zara's face carefully. "That was an impressive performance," Carter said. "Tell me, who taught you about the Battle of Kepler 442? "No one taught me," Zara replied. "I mean, I have read about the Great War, but not about that specific battle." "Really?" The Admiral raised an eyebrow. "Because you just used tactics that are classified at the highest levels of Earth military command. Those strategies are not in any public database." Zara felt panic rising in her chest. "I do not understand." I just did what seemed logical. Admiral Carter stared at her for a long moment. Then she pulled out a secure communicator and walked away, speaking in low, urgent tones. Meanwhile, other students were talking about Zara's victory with a mixture of amazement and suspicion. She had to have cheated somehow, Lisa Chang said. To her friends, no one could know those tactics without inside information. Maybe her mysterious sponsor gave her classified battle plans, suggested another student. Jake defended Zara, but even he seemed uncertain. She has always been smart about strategy. Maybe she just figured it out. Prince Corvain was furious about Zara's success. This is outrageous, he declared. A half-breed should not be able to defeat pure-blooded warriors using our own historical battles. Ambassador Thexhai, the Zephyrian diplomatic representative, had arrived to watch the games. She was a tall, elegant woman with the same silver-blue skin as Zara, but her expression was cold and disapproving. The ambassador approached Zara after dinner. "Young one," she said in the musical Zephyrian language, "we need to talk." They went to a private meeting room. Ambassador Thexhai's manner was stern and worried. "Your performance today has caused complications," the ambassador said. "There are those among my people who are disturbed by your presence here." "Why?" Zara asked. "I have done nothing wrong. You are a symbol of something many Zephyrians prefer to forget," Thexhai replied. "The war ended with treaties and peace, but the wounds are still fresh. Seeing a half-human child use human tactics to defeat Zephyrian forces, it brings back painful memories." "But it was just a simulation," Zara protested. "Perhaps," the ambassador said, "but simulations can be more real than reality sometimes. Tell me, child, what do you know about your father?" The question hit Zara like a physical blow. "He died when I was young. My mother said he was a merchant trader." Ambassador Thexhai looked skeptical. "A merchant? And yet you display tactical knowledge that would impress military academies across the galaxy." Before Zara could answer, the ambassador's communicator beeped. She read the message, and her expression changed to one of alarm. "I must go," Thexhai said quickly. "But be careful, young one. Your success here may have consequences you do not yet understand." That evening, Zara sat in her room trying to make sense of everything that had happened. The Battle of Kepler 442 felt like more than just a simulation to her. It felt like a memory, as if she had lived through it before. Her communicator chimed. Another message from her mysterious father. "You did well today, little star. Your instincts are getting stronger. Soon you will understand everything." Zara typed a reply. "Who are you? Please tell me the truth." For the first time, a response came back immediately. "I am someone who loves you very much. Someone who has been watching over you from far away. Be patient. We will meet soon. Are you really my father?" Zara typed, "Yes, little star, and I am very proud of you." Zara stared at the screen in shock. Her father was alive. But if he was alive, why had her mother told her he was dead? And how? Did he know about her performance in the war games? Admiral Carter was asking similar questions in her private quarters. She had requested Zara's complete academy file and was reviewing it carefully. The girl's sponsor was listed as Anonymous Benefactor, Classification Level 10. That was military code for the highest level of security clearance. Only a handful of people in the entire galaxy had access to that level. Carter made a secure call to Earth Military Command. "Sir," she said when the connection was established, "we have a situation. She is here, and she is exactly like you described. The tactical knowledge, the instincts, even the way she moves. There is no doubt about it." The voice on the other end was quiet for a long moment. Then, "How long until she discovers the truth?" "Not long," Carter replied. "Maybe days. Her performance today was too good. People are asking questions. Then it is time, the voice said with resignation. The formal hearing was called for Tuesday morning. Commander Brooks sat at a long table in the Academy's main conference room, flanked by Admiral Carter and Ambassador HFY. Other Academy officials filled the remaining seats, their faces serious and concerned. Zara sat alone on one side of the room, facing the panel of judges. Her teammates sat in the gallery behind her, looking worried and confused. Jake had tried to talk to her before the hearing, but she had been too nervous to say much. This hearing has been called to address allegations of cheating during the war games, Commander Brooks announced. Miss Zara Vex, you are accused of having access to classified military information that gave you an unfair advantage. Lisa Chong stood up in the gallery. She had to have cheated, she said loudly. No student could know those tactics without help. She probably got the information from her mysterious sponsor, added Prince Corvain. Someone is feeding her secret. Battle plans. Captain Hamilton stepped forward with a tablet in his hands. I have reviewed all security footage from the simulation, he said. Miss Vex received no outside communication during the battle. She also submitted to a full scan before. And after the exercise, no hidden devices were found. Then how do you explain her performance? Demanded Professor Martinez. She used tactics that are not taught in any academy textbook. Admiral Carter stood up slowly. All eyes turned to her as she walked to the center of the room. I can explain her performance, the Admiral said. But first, I need to share some classified information with this panel. She activated a holographic display that showed military records and battle reports. The documents were marked with the highest security classifications. The Battle of Kepler 442 was won by a human fleet under the command of General Marcus Stone. Carter began. The tactics used in that battle were developed by Stone himself and have remained classified for 40 years. Murmurs rippled through the room. General Stone was a legend, one of the greatest military minds in human history. General Stone disappeared 5 years ago during a deep cover mission, Carter continued. He was presumed dead by most of the galaxy. But a few of us knew the truth. He was alive, living under a false identity in Zephyrian space. Ambassador HFY shifted uncomfortably in her seat. She knew where this was leading. The general's mission was highly sensitive, Admiral Carter explained. He was working to prevent a new war between humans and Zephyrians. During his time undercover, he fell in love with a Zephyrian woman and married her. Zara's heart began beating faster. She was starting to understand what the Admiral was saying. They had a daughter, Carter said, looking directly at Zara. A little girl who grew up hearing bedtime stories about space battles and military strategy, told by one of the greatest tactical minds in galactic history. The room fell silent. Everyone stared at Zara, who sat frozen in her chair. Are you saying ... double quotes Commander Brooks began. I am saying that Zara Vex is the daughter of General Marcus Stone, Admiral Carter announced. Her tactical knowledge comes from growing up with the man who created those strategies. The hearing room erupted in chaos. Students shouted questions, officials demanded proof, and Ambassador HFY looked like she wanted to disappear. Jake stood up in the gallery, his face pale with shock. Zara's father is human? Not just human, Admiral Carter replied. He is the most decorated human military officer of the past century. Zara found her voice at last. That is impossible, she said shakily. My mother told me my father was dead. She said he was a merchant trader. Your mother was protecting you both, Carter explained gently. If certain groups had known that General Stone was alive and had a family, they would have used you as weapons against each other. Ambassador HFY stood up reluctantly. It is true, she admitted. The Zephyrian High Council has known about this situation for years. We agreed to keep it secret to maintain peace between our peoples. But why? Asked Commander Brooks. Because, said a new voice from the back of the room, some secrets are worth keeping to protect the people you love. Everyone turned to see a tall man in civilian clothes walking into the hearing room. He had graying hair, sharp eyes, and the same violet irises as Zara. Despite his simple clothing, he carried himself with unmistakable military bearing. General Stone, Admiral Carter said, standing at attention, that the man who had been presumed dead for 5 years walked calmly to the front of the room. Students and officials stared in amazement as the legendary general approached his daughter, Zara, sat motionless, unable to believe what she was seeing. The man from her childhood dreams, the voice that told her bedtime stories about brave pilots and impossible victories, was standing right in front of her. "Hello, little star," General Stone said softly. "I am sorry I have been away so long." Tears began flowing down Zara's cheeks. "You are really my father?" "Yes," he replied, kneeling down beside her chair. "And I have been so proud of you, watching you grow up to be strong and smart and brave, even when people were cruel to you." "But why?" Zara whispered. "Why did you let me think you were dead?" General Stone's expression became sad and serious. "Because there are people in this galaxy who would hurt you to get to me. I had to stay away to keep you safe." He stood up and addressed the hearing panel. "My daughter has done nothing wrong. Her knowledge of military tactics comes from stories I told her when she was small. She never knew they were real battle plans." Commander Brooks looked overwhelmed by the situation. "General, your presence here creates significant complications. There will be political consequences." "I know," Stone replied. "But my cover was already compromised. Someone leaked information about my mission, and hostile forces were closing in on my family. I had to choose between maintaining my secret and protecting my daughter." Admiral Carter stepped forward. "Sir, we received intelligence that several extremist groups were planning to kidnap Miss Vex. They suspected her connection to you." "Which is why I am here," Stone said firmly. "No one threatens my family." Jake found the courage to speak up. From the gallery, "General, sir, I owe Zara an apology." "We all do. We treated her terribly because she was different." Stone looked at Jake with interest. "You are her teammate, Jake Morrison. She has mentioned you in her messages to me." "She has?" Jake looked surprised. "She said you were starting to treat her with respect," Stone replied. "That meant a lot to her." Prince Corvain stood up, his golden face flushed with embarrassment. "General Stone, I said terrible things about your daughter. I called her a half-breed and treated her like she was inferior." Stone's eyes became cold and dangerous. "Yes, you did. And if you ever speak to her that way again, you will answer to me personally." The prince sat down quickly, looking terrified. "Lisa." Chang raised her hand hesitantly. "General, what happens now? Will Zara be allowed to finish the war games?" "That depends on the Academy administration," Stone replied. "But I hope so. She has earned her place here through her own intelligence and hard work." Commander Brooks consulted quietly with the other officials. After several minutes, she announced their decision. "Given the extraordinary circumstances, we find no evidence of cheating or wrongdoing by Miss Vex. She will be allowed to continue in the war games. However, this hearing has raised questions about Academy security that must be addressed." "Admiral?" Carter nodded. "General Stone's presence here must remain classified for now. Too many political interests are involved." "Understood," Brooks replied. "This hearing is sealed under military security protocols." As the official hearing ended, students crowded around trying to get closer to the legendary general and his daughter. But Stone only had eyes for Zara. "I have missed so much of your life," he said sadly. "Your first day of school, your birthdays. Watching you grow up, I'm sorry, little star. Zara hugged her father tightly. You are here now, she said. That is what matters. Stone smiled, and for the first time in years, he looked truly happy. Yes, I am here, and I am never leaving. You again. Jake approached them cautiously. Zara, I want you to know that you have my respect. You always did, even when I was too stupid to show it. Zara looked at her teammate with new understanding. Thank you, Jake. That means a lot. As father and daughter walked out of the hearing room together, the other students watched with a mixture of awe and shame. The girl they had mocked and excluded was the daughter of the greatest military hero in human history. The truth was finally out, and everything at Galactic Academy was about to change. The next morning, General Stone stood before the entire academy in the main auditorium. Students, teachers, and staff filled every seat, all eager to hear from the legendary military hero who had returned from the dead. Zara sat in the front row, with her teammates still amazed that her father was really here. She had spent the previous evening talking with him, learning about his secret mission and why he had stayed away for so long. 5 years ago, General Stone began, his voice carrying, easily through the large room, I volunteered for the most dangerous mission of my career. Intelligence reports suggested that extremist groups on both sides were planning to restart the war between humans and Zephyrians. The audience listened in complete silence. Even the youngest students understood the importance of what he was saying. My mission was to infiltrate Zephyrian society and identify these extremist groups before they could act. Stone continued. I was given a new identity and sent to live among our former enemies as a simple merchant trader. Ambassador Thex High nodded from her seat. The Zephyrian High Council approved this mission because we also wanted to prevent another war. 2. Many had died already. But something unexpected happened during my mission, Stone said, his expression softening. I met a remarkable Zephyrian woman named Lyra Vex. She was kind, intelligent, and believed in peace between our peoples. We fell in love. He looked directly at Zara. When we married and had a daughter, I faced an impossible choice. I could abandon my mission and return to Earth, or I could stay and protect the peace while raising my family in secret. What did you choose? Asked a student from the back. I chose to stay, Stone replied, because I realized that my daughter represented something more important than any military mission. She was proof that humans and aliens could not only coexist, but create something beautiful together. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the audience. Many students were seeing Zara in a completely new light. For 4 years, I lived happily with my family while continuing to gather intelligence about extremist threats, Stone explained. I told my daughter bedtime stories about space battles and brave pilots, never imagining that she would one day use those lessons to become a strategist herself. Jake raised his hand. General, why did you have to leave? Why did Zara think you were dead? Stone's expression became grim. Because last year, my cover was compromised. Extremist groups discovered my true identity and threatened my family. I had to fake my death and go into even deeper hiding to protect them. But sir, Tony asked, how did you know what was happening here at the academy? Stone smiled slightly. I have been watching over Zara from a distance. When she was accepted to Galactic Academy, I arranged for her tuition to be paid anonymously. I monitored her progress and sent her encouraging messages when she needed support. You were her mysterious sponsor, Blue Song said in her musical voice. Yes, Stone confirmed. And I was so proud to watch her succeed despite the prejudice and hatred she faced from other students. Several students looked ashamed. Lisa Chong was staring at her hands, unable to meet anyone's eyes. Which brings me to why I am here now, Stone continued, his voice becoming more serious. Yesterday's hearing was not just about cheating allegations. It was about something much more important. He activated a holographic display that showed star maps and military intelligence reports. The extremist groups I was investigating have been planning something called the Purification Project, Stone explained. Their goal is to eliminate all mixed heritage individuals from the galaxy, claiming they contaminate pure bloodlines. The audience gasped. Several mixed heritage students looked frightened. They specifically targeted my daughter because she represents everything they hate, Stone said, his voice filled with anger. A successful, intelligent, capable young woman who proves that mixed heritage is a strength, not a weakness. Prince Corvain stood up suddenly. General Stone, I must confess something. I said terrible things about your daughter. I called her contaminated and impure. I was wrong, and I am deeply ashamed. Stone looked at the prince for a long moment. Your apology is appreciated, Prince Corvain, but it is not me you should apologize to. The prince turned to face Zara. Zara, I treated you terribly because I was taught that mixed heritage was wrong. But watching you succeed, seeing your intelligence and courage, I realize how foolish those beliefs were. I am truly sorry. Zara stood up and walked over to the prince. I forgive you, she said simply, but I hope you will treat other mixed heritage students better in the future. I will, the prince promised. I swear it on my family's honor. Lisa Chong also stood up. Zara, I owe you an apology too. I was jealous of your intelligence and used your heritage as an excuse to be cruel. I am sorry. One by one, other students who had mistreated Zara stood up to apologize. She accepted each apology with grace and dignity, showing the same strength that had helped her survive months of isolation. This is exactly what I hoped would happen, General Stone said with pride. My daughter is teaching all of you that our differences make us stronger, not weaker. Commander Brooks stepped forward. General, what happens now? Will you be staying at the academy? For a while, Stone replied. The extremist threats have been neutralized thanks to intelligence my daughter helped gather. Her success here drew them out of hiding, and my allies were able to capture them. How did I help gather intelligence? Zara asked. Confused. Stone smiled. Every message you sent me, every report of discrimination or harassment, helped us identify and track the extremists. They were monitoring Academy communications, looking for targets. When they focused on you, we were able to find them. Admiral Carter nodded. The operation was a complete success. The Purification Project has been stopped, and their leaders are in custody. Which means, Stone continued, that my family is finally safe. We can live openly without fear. Does this mean you will stay on Earth? Asked Jake. Actually, Stone said, I have been offered a new position. The Galactic Council wants me to establish a new peacekeeping corps with mixed heritage individuals as its core members. They believe that people who understand multiple cultures are best suited to maintain peace between species. He looked at Zara with obvious pride. And I cannot think of anyone better qualified to be the first cadet in this new course than my daughter. The audience erupted in applause. Students who had once mocked Zara now cheered for her enthusiastically. But first, Stone added with a grin, she has to finish the war games. I did not raise a quitter. Captain Hamilton stepped forward. Speaking of which, the war games final is tomorrow. Are you ready, Miss Vex? Zara looked around the auditorium at all the faces watching her. Students who had been her enemies were now her supporters. Teachers who had doubted her now believed in her potential. Most importantly, her father was here to watch her compete. I am ready, she said confidently. The next day, the War Games final took place in the main arena. Zara's team faced Prince Corvain's team in the ultimate test of strategy and teamwork. The scenario was completely new, designed by General Stone himself to test creative thinking and adaptability. Working together with perfect coordination, Zara's team solved challenges that required both human creativity and alien expertise. Jake had become truly supportive. Tony contributed his technical skills eagerly. Sharp Claw and Blue Song used their unique abilities to full advantage, and Zara coordinated everything with the tactical brilliance she had inherited from her father. They won decisively. But more importantly, they won as a true team of equals. During the victory ceremony, Zara was awarded the Golden Star, the Academy's highest honor. As she accepted the award, she looked out at the audience and saw her father beaming with pride. 6 months ago, she said in her acceptance speech, I came to this academy as an outcast. I was rejected by humans for being too alien, and rejected by aliens for being too human. I belonged nowhere. She paused, gathering her thoughts. But I learned that belonging is not about being pure or perfect. It is about finding people who accept you for who you are, and working together to achieve something greater than any of you could accomplish alone. The audience rose in a standing ovation. Students cheered, teachers applauded, and even Ambassador Thex High wiped tears from her eyes. Today, I am proud to be both human and Zephyrian, Zara continued. I am proud to be mixed heritage. And I am proud to show other young people that being different is not a weakness. It is a superpower. After the ceremony, General Stone approached his daughter. So, little star, have you decided what you want to do next? Zara looked around at her friends, her teachers, and the academy that had become her home. I want to stay here and finish my education, but I also want to help you build the peacekeeping corps. I want to make sure that no other mixed heritage child has to go through what I experienced. Stone hugged her tightly. I could not be more proud of you. You have grown into exactly the kind of person this galaxy needs. Jake approached them with the rest of the team. Zara, we were wondering if you would like to room with some of us. Next semester, no one should have to live alone. I would like that very much, Zara replied with a genuine smile. As the celebration continued around them, Zara realized that she had finally found what she had been searching for all her life.